4 people are dead and millions of dollars are missing in South Carolina. The purpose of this speech is to show how the scion of a powerful political family by the name of Alex Murdaugh has been connected to millions of dollars missing from his clients and possibly being involved in the deaths of 4 different people in his small town in South Carolina. I'm qualified to speak on this because I have read many articles by the New York Times and by Mandy Matney of FIT News in South Carolina. The idea of the speech is that when one family is in charge for over 100 years, it is easy to get away with a lot of crimes. So let's talk about who this family in charge is, the Murdaughs. So the Murdaughs are solicitors in the 14th Circuit Court in South Carolina. That is 5 counties in the low country of South Carolina, and a solicitor is the same as a prosecutor's office in Illinois. That means you are in charge of trying all criminal cases in your jurisdiction. That means you have an immense amount of power. The police might find you have committed a murder and they might have evidence that you've committed this murder. But if the prosecutor does not want to try the crime, then you will not go to jail. So imagine how much influence that can have, especially in small towns in South Carolina. And this family has been doing it longer than any family in the country, since 1920. That's over 100 years of power in this little part of South Carolina. For the reasons of our speech, we're going to be talking about Alex Murdaugh. He is the youngest man in the previous picture, and he is going to be the oldest man in this family picture, the father scene. He is the one who is accused of all of these crimes today. Your family is in charge of the police, it's easy to get away with murder. The first murder we're going to talk about is that of Mallory Beach. She was a 19-year-old girl who in August of 2019 was riding on a boat with 5 other people. That boat belonged to Alex Murdaugh and was being driven by his son, Paul Murdaugh. Paul crashed into a bridge, flipped the boat over, and Mallory's body ended up in the dark water and was not recovered for a week. Paul did not go to jail. He didn't have a breathalyzer. He didn't even have his mugshot taken. He just ended up going home to his parents, and it looked like he was going to get away with a big crime. And so this girl's parents decided they might not find any justice in the criminal system, so they were going to try their case in the civil court, which means they are going to sue the Murdaugh family for money. And due to this fact, the Murdaughs were due in court in a few days, and they knew that they would have to turn over all of their finances to Mallory's family's attorney. Alex Murdaugh finds out that for owning the boat that his son Paul crashes 3 times over the legal drinking limit, that he is going to have to hand over this financial information. That's on June 4th of 2020. On June 7th, Alex's wife Maggie and his son Paul are found murdered on the family's property at their hunting lodge Moselle. The person who finds them is Alex. a lot of national news was drawn to this case after this happened. It definitely made headlines across the country, just due to the salacious nature of, a prominent family being murdered. And people were looking at Mallory Beach's family. Are they involved because their daughter didn't get justice? People are looking at Alex because it's very common for women to be murdered by their husbands. I'm going to say my thought is that it's Alex, and it has to do with the financial records needing to be uncovered. He has been doing some dirty deals in South Carolina for years. So why would opening up the financial records be so bad? Because Alex had a lot to cover up. The absolute worst crime he had to cover up was that he stole $4.3 million, according to the Daily Beast, from the sons of his former housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Gloria supposedly fell down the Murdaugh family's staircase in 2019. And Alex Murdaugh went to her two sons and said, listen, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to set you up with a lawyer who's going to get you some money since your mom is dead now. And this lawyer is going to sue my homeowner's insurance for you. What Alex didn't tell these boys is that this lawyer was Alex's roommate in college, or that he was going to embezzle all of the $4.3 million from them and never tell them that they got paid out. In fact, these two men had no idea that the case had even been settled until all of these big news agencies started investigating the Murdaugh family after all of these crazy deaths started happening. And they said, what? Our case has been settled. We have no idea about that. So why would you possibly kill your son and wife and maybe your housekeeper and definitely steal from her sons? Well, you needed money. It turns out that Alex Murdaugh had a 20-year addiction to OxyContin, and that he had been embezzling millions of dollars from his family's private law firm clients for the past 20 years. And it looked like nothing at all was going to happen to Alex. In fact, the only thing that did happen was on the day that he got fired from his family's law firm about 2 months ago, he decided the best thing to do would be to set up an attempted murder on his life with his drug dealer. He had the man shoot at him while he pretended to change a tire on the side of the road, and his drug dealer was supposedly going to kill him, but that didn't work out, and the bullet didn't pierce him, and nothing happened. He ended up going to rehab for the last 28 days. And I was about to put the finishing touches on this speech without much of a conclusion, but turns out, according to CNN, he was arrested last Thursday for embezzlement, for stealing that money from Gloria Satterfield's sons, the $4.3 million. I have a feeling that this is not going to be the last thing he goes to jail for. I think that he murdered his wife and son for money and to hide his embezzlements, that he may have even murdered his housekeeper to get money, and that he just set up this supposed murder for hire / suicide because he was trying to pin the whole thing on poor Mallory Beach's family from the boat crash. So hopefully Alex will be in the court that his family had served in for the last 100 years and will be going to jail soon.